Thank you for meeting me here again as I fulfill a promise to myself to tell my story. We are at chapter 31, Taking Flight. When I was much younger, I was always one to follow my own inner calling and intuitive adventures. I got some very brave parents, you know that? Now, some may view my earlier years as misguided excursions, but I myself enjoyed the fountain of reckless exploration and zeal that came with youthful and carefree existence. I considered this way of living a rite of passage and a natural way to enjoy life to its fullest. A process I never really fully questioned. I just embraced this soulful perspective and always jumped in at the opportunity to have another adventure. However, like many of us, as I began to settle down, this aspect of myself started to become dormant. Not because the callings were no longer there, for I could definitely feel my heart tugging for adventure and the magnetism felt towards making those uninhibited decisions. You know, the spur of the moment type. Before a moment's thought or inch of worry are allowed to creep in. Anyway, despite those inner impulses to throw caution to the wind, my youthful drive eventually became dormant and was replaced with family responsibilities and financial obligations. Not that I believe that age, finances, or family obligations should ever change the way we follow our heart. It shouldn't. But in truth, it does seem to set new priorities for our heart to follow. Truth. Basically, as I settled down, my life became less flexible, and my own inner callings began to take a back seat. It was not until the publication of my first book, Activating Your SOULworks, that I reactivated this aspect of my long forgotten life. As my awareness of my own SOULworks began to further evolve, my adventurous side began to resurface too. Secretly, I craved being with like-minded people and expanding my knowledge to greater heights, as well as traveling the world and learning from other spiritual gurus. A part of this inner craving came from being a truth seeker, one who's drawn to the mystical world of understanding and possibilities. The other part came from an inner knowing with all my heart that I needed to put my logical mind aside so I could follow the adventures of my soul. It was during this time that I came across a workshop that intrigued me beyond comprehension. It was located in a different country, taught many concepts that resonated to the core of my being, and was conveniently situated in the middle of a spiritual hub of activity. All in all, it sounded perfect. For months, I dreamed of going and making this workshop a part of my life's adventure. I can't afford it, I argued. My family needs me more than I need that workshop, I challenged. I should do the responsible thing and just stay home. I reasoned over and over again in my mind. However, at one point, and more specifically the actual day before I would need to leave this spontaneous adventure, I finally took a last-minute leap of faith and booked myself in. Flights were paid for, courses registered in at the very last possible moment. Hotels confirmed before I could even have a chance to rethink my decision and back down from moving forward. It felt pretty exhilarating. I can still remember how clear and calm everything seemed. Of course, my inner calm was later overtaken by sheer panic when the reality of what I had just done started to sink in. Suffice it to say, it was a very long and uncomfortable 24 hours until I finally boarded that plane the next day. I was scared, nervous, and exhilarated all at once. Scared, knowing I had just left home with my household clearly upset I had chosen myself over what they felt was the family. Nervous that I may have wasted family finances over something that really wasn't that important on the grand scheme of things. Scared that I may have made the wrong choice. Nervous that I may have made the right one. Excited that I had no idea what I had just signed up for, or what was waiting for me on the other side, but notably vibrating with anticipation to the core of my being. To say the least, it was a very emotional day. Despite all the worry and fear and second guessing that comes with following your heart, it was the excitement that definitely trumped my emotional roller coaster that day, a reality I couldn't deny. I thought to myself as I observed my notable excitement, took the plunge, and dove straight back into following my heart and intuition. Of course, it was later confirmed I made the right decision. The workshop was profound, the experience enlightening, and the events that took place during the week were clearly out of this world. It's those events I actually seek to explain. On day 1 of the week's adventure, after having arrived early and needing a little downtime before the workshop began, a friend and I visited a metaphysical store. In there was a book that called to me like no other. Seriously, like no other. The book actually referenced one of my own spirit names, and I remember standing there, not knowing if I truly wanted to read the novel, while knowing my guidance and friend were adamant the story was for me. The book title, as well as the topics highlighted on the back cover, were right on point with my current reality. And eventually, the power of the unknown overtook my weird panic, and I just bought the book. Back at the hotel, I found myself uneasy as I settled into the night of reading. The first few chapters highlighted the journey of the main character who at the last possible moment jumped on an airplane, leaving her family in the lurch to pursue her soul path. Shockingly, close to my situation, I remember laughing as I turned the pages and further settled into reading the intriguing fictional adventure. From there, The accounts and similarities of two characters within the book began even more defined to my life. Included were topics such as following your intuition, taking a leap of faith, and knowing your life was destined for bigger things. I certainly resonated with both characters, to say the least, and I mulled it over in my mind as I closed the book and drifted off to sleep. I'm sure many of us go through the same experiences of transition, I reasoned. The next day, I had a wonderful time at the workshop and then enjoyed the rest of the day seeking adventure. This included going for a walk where I experienced this profound moment when my energy merged with the sacred land. Next was supper, where my friend and I enjoyed this starry night and watched the energies of silver and gold dancing in the sky. At one point, my friend got this weird call from a family member who needed her help. And this conversation was then followed by further discussions on my friend's plans to leave the next day. In the distance, a large explosion, like an explosion, went off as we both sat staring. It diverted our attention to the looming smoke on the horizon. It was such a weird, adventurous, and fun day, but certainly an exhausting one at that. So back in the hotel room, and I was ready to just lay back and enjoy a bit of light reading before going to bed. And it was then I started to notice the eerie clarity of the book mimicking my life in real time. There were accounts of the main character going for a walk on sacred ground, followed by the experience of merging with the land. The silver and gold energies were discussed, as well as an explosion in the distance. The phone call from a family member in distress was highlighted, as well as plans for the friend to leave the next day were all accounted for. Yikes. Was all I could say as I slammed the book shut and forced my eyes closed to the novel's black and white reality as I tried to get some sleep. The next day, the workshop wrapped up and my friend started packing for her departure. Before leaving, we visited another metaphysical store with crystals and spiritual books and an enchanting sword like I had never seen before. My guides actually prompted me to buy one of them, but my logical mind clearly said no, I was not at all interested in purchasing one, nor was I interested in trying to cart one home across the border. However, my guides were clear. I would need the sword. Perhaps not in physical form, but energetically for sure. You will use the sword as a light worker, my angelic team had explained, to battle the darkness and fight for the light. These are prophesied times, and the events are personally linked to your soul works, they continued. This is who you are. This is who you are and why you came into this world. Sure, sounds weird looking back, but at the time the spiritual encounter was as clear as these words written before you. And so was the clarity at hand. I gratefully accepted the energetic sword and the profound guidance provided from above. My friend and I later said goodbyes and parted ways. We had checked out of the original hotel earlier that day, and I was dropped off at a smaller inn just down the road. As I watched my companion of the last few days pull away, an unsettled, eerie feeling rolled in, and I began to cry. Why did I decide to stay a whole week here by myself? I contemplated as a lonely, fear-based energy pulled into my awareness. For the first time in my entire life, I truly felt vulnerable and alone. Weird, I thought to myself, as I attempted to pull my thoughts together and enjoy the spiritual journey I was about to embark on. I remember it was a beautiful day, but I decided to stay indoors and read. I could not get it out of my mind how the fictional character in the book seemed to be working in unison with my life. I picked up that strange but powerful book and started where I had left off the day before. That is when things got over the top creepy. The main character had just been dropped off at a small inn on the exact road I had been left. There were accounts of an energetic sword being gifted to the main character to ward off darkness and for her protection. Guidance was provided to the character about her life role had been prophesied, and how the world had been waiting for her arrival to fight off the darkness. The book utilized words I had learned and heard my own guides use, such as twin flame, golden child, prophecy, dark forces, and fighting for the light. Worse yet, there was a reference to the main character being in danger, now that darkness knew what inn she was staying at. Holy shit, what the hell is happening to me? Was all I could say between sobs of pure fear. Here are some of the biggest questions that were on my mind. How did the universe create such synchronistic moments? How did the author's visions of an enticing fictional novel end up playing out in real time during my life to such a startling degree of accuracy? First, the author needed to be inspired to write the accounts and already have the novel published well before I ever arrived at my destination. Next, my guides had to help me make conscious decisions as well as others within the experience to match the documented accounts. And finally, the messages received from the two main characters had to be in unison with the same messages I'd already been taking action on and hearing about regarding my own life's work. It was all astounding. Simply astounding. If before this moment I had yet to believe or understand there was a divine influence working in the background in all that we do, this experience took all doubts away in a heartbeat. The next few days were both scary and magical. Every day I worked with my spirit team to grow my inner strength and confidence, and every day darkness had less power over me. Every day I worked to follow my heart and set my intentions for the life I truly wanted as a healer and a teacher. And every day, without fail, more clarity and guidance came in. Strangely, although the book highlighted two characters, I seemed to be playing the role of both, with the mild exception of a few points. My life aligned more and more with the fictional novel as the days progressed, and by the end of the week, I knew, without a doubt, my guides had worked incredibly hard to help me hear their message loud and clear. I am a light worker living in prophesied times, and I am personally connected to the story unfolding. I am here to help change, heal, and enlighten the world. This is who I am. This is my soul works. I wrote similar words within the inside book cover and signed it as both myself and the names of the two main characters. Strange, but true. Later, I would discover that the merger of the two characters, as well as the written word being in unison with my own personal experiences, was merely a trial run and foreshadowing of what was yet to come. Fact. Evolving your soul works. I often reflect on the life-altering experiences I would have missed if I had allowed my fear and reason to stop that soulful adventure and had chosen to stay home. I have contemplated how much time and energy my guides and my own soul put into making those magical events unfold the way they did. Could I have learned the same lesson by staying home? Possibly. Would they have been as powerful, life-changing, and thought-provoking? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. In that respect, letting fear run our lives creates an injustice to our own soul and the magic of the universe. I believe there's a time and a place for logical thinking. Of course there is. However, there must also be a balance and respectful appreciation for the knowledge that echoes from the depths of our soul. Please consider whether your own soul is in control or if you're letting your logical mind run the show. Holidays and travel make us feel so damn good and expand our inner growth, not because of the downtime, but because we are given priority to our soul's desires. Did you hear that? I think it's worth repeating. Holidays and travel make us feel so damn good and expand our inner growth, not because of the downtime, but because we are giving priority to our soul. Life feels best when we are following our heart instead of our logical mind. We feel alive when we have the freedom to move when inspired. In fact, moving through life as we are inspired is key to unlocking miracles, magic, and synchronistic moments in our lives. Staying in fear only keeps us in discord and darkness. To activate these soulful moments, we must honor our feelings and choose to engage in those gentle nudges from the soul. We must then move with our own free will during moments of inspiration in order to magically intertwine this harmony into each and every day. This is the process I utilized when I took the leap of faith to attend the workshop, spent the week developing my own spiritual growth, and worked to evolve my own soul works. It is truly a magical feeling like no other to watch our life play out in synchronistic alignment with our soul. When the three begin to merge together in complete unison, body, mind, and soul, the experience, breathtaking. It's breathtaking. Imagine if the next magical moment in your life was scheduled for 2 p.m. yesterday, when you were inspired and truly felt like connecting with a friend. This connection at the right time in the right place could have led to a ripple effect of numerous big and small life-fulfilling changes. However, instead of following that inspiration, you let your logical mind get in the way by thinking something like, I don't have the time to visit right now, or I should spend my day doing something more constructive, like cleaning the house. Honest to God, I thought that very thing this morning, and yet here we are. Now, don't get me wrong. That's not to say the universe will not create more and more synchronistic events to help bring your dreams into reality, nor does it mean you never need to clean your house again. What it means is that if you were to let life unfold by following your feelings and inspirations, your days would become much more meaningful and miraculous. We humans tend to think we are the most advanced species on the planet, yet we are the only ones no longer utilizing our intuition on a daily basis. Can you imagine a world where animals use their logical minds instead of their instincts to make their decisions? If that were the case, animals would avoid gut feelings, such as the instinctual urge to seek higher ground before life-threatening storms, and instead stay home to clean the den. Silly, yes, but my point is clear. Over time, we have stopped utilizing our intuitive instincts on a day-to-day basis and instead have become completely focused on the logical mind. Now, I'm not saying we should eliminate our logical mind and cognitive mental processes. What I'm saying is our intuition and how we actually feel should be our first priority whenever possible. Once we assess our feelings, we can then use our logical mind to help propel these moments of inspiration forward. This process can be incorporated into life when we are at work, with our family, or having some well-deserved downtime. Inspiration is our spirit speaking at a soul level. When we ignore inspiration, we are ignoring our true heart's desires and the glorious possibilities that our conscious minds have yet to even fathom. Magical moments unfold when we take the time to listen to and follow the navigational path of our soul. Life is about learning to completely trust and follow these insights. As you move further and further into trusting the divine order of all things, your life will become lighter, grander in scale, and more miraculous every day. To quote a dear spirit guide of mine, you have to keep ignoring the logical mind and instead follow the illogical heart until you get to the point that it only makes logical sense to follow your heart. By incorporating your own soul guidance and inspiration into each and every day, your entire life can and will feel like a coveted holiday or fairy tale adventure. Always. Furthermore, with this profound way of viewing the world, we just might finally unlock the long debated mystery of why the chicken crossed the road. How about simply because she was guided to? Your move. Honor how you feel. Move into the mindset of initiating all life changes when you are inspired to change. When you stay still or choose options that are not in alignment with our soul simply because of our own or others' fears and insecurities, we are allowing our lives to be dark and unfulfilling when they could be light and joyful, always. Read a book when you are inspired to read. Take a holiday when you are inspired to travel. Clean your house when you are inspired to clean. And if you wait long enough, the inspiration will come, I promise. In fact, when you are eventually inspired to clean, hold the intention that you are moving out old, outdated energy and shifting into a fresh new state of being. The results will be amazing. Try it. Live from the perspective of your soul. Your soul often has different viewpoints than your logical mind. Definitely. Which one are you following? Your heart speaks for your soul. Listen and follow your heart. Even when your logical mind does not think you have an opinion, if given the opportunity to speak, your heart will always show you how it truly feels. Fact. When it does, don't be afraid to take the leap of faith. You never know what the adventure or where the adventure will take you. Too often we put our dreams aside until life smooths out without even realizing it is in fact our heart's desires that successfully guide our way through life with grace and ease. Following your heart most certainly is the easy and smoother route. Your dreams and guidance define who you are and propel you towards your life's purpose. Follow your inspirations. If you get the idea to stop by a new store in town, stop. If you are inspired to take a new class or workshop, register. If you overhear an idea that provides inspiration, follow it. Give yourself permission to live intuitively. Even when the words are but a whisper, you can still hear Spirit nudging you forward along your soul path. Do not mistake on how it is you hear from the heavenly realms. It is not your ears you must open. It's your heart. Be in the flow. Utilize at least one day a week to move through the entire day. Only when and how you are truly inspired. If this means staying in bed until you are inspired to get up, do it. If this means heading out of town on a last-minute travel opportunity simply because you're inspired to go, go for it. Always, always move forward with unwavering faith by trusting in the divine guidance and following the flow of all things. Notice your ego self-talk, but never let it stand in the way of living your life and achieving your true greatness. Move beyond the limiting words that come from our earthly minds and take that leap of faith. Confidently act upon that guidance, even when the destination or path is unclear. Let go of your worries and let the divine show you the way. And lastly, fight the darkness. Darkness exists in this world by way of fears, ego-driven realities, depression, unworthiness, and longing. Do not settle for this vibrational way of living. Follow your own inner calling. Shine your light out into the world and believe in yourself. When you do, darkness holds no power over you or anyone else. A great way to face your fears is to allow yourself to be vulnerable. List all your biggest fears that are currently holding you back from creating change in your life. Acknowledge they exist, but move through them anyway, one step at a time. The turning point to bringing forth miracles in your life happens at the exact moment your logical mind tells you something is not possible, and yet your heart stays focused with the faith and determination that it most certainly is. all things are possible to those who believe. You've got this.